ADR, this is King Black, and let me talk about something that is near and dear to my heart, and that's the gentrification of Puerto Rico. Hurricane Maria came and laid waste to the island, causing a mass exodus in what many are calling the third wave migration of islanders to the mainland. Whatever was left of the economy before Maria was also affected. Thousands of jobs disappeared overnight, and many of them permanently. The jobs that were created, like the disaster relief jobs and even many construction jobs, are temporary, and most are being done by contractors from the States. If this hurricane season is one that is uneventful, then by February of 2019, most of the restoration should be wrapped up, and the hotels here won't be filled to capacity constantly as they have been. Gentrification is defined as a process of renovation of deteriorated urban neighborhoods by means of the influx of more affluent residents. That's exactly what's going to happen if it's not already happening. A few radio personalities have already mentioned the theory that the federal government has been all hands on deck regarding recovery and reconstruction because the 1% want locals out to turn the island into a Hawaii, driving property prices sky high that the locals can no longer afford to live on their own island. And I can see it happening. I mean, you have some people buying condos in the metro area of San Juan that 10 years ago was worth half a mil or more. And right now, people are picking them up for sub $200,000. And all they got to do is wait. Then, in a decade, or maybe even less, if the economy booms, they can easily double or triple their money. And business wise, it's a smart move. Who wouldn't want that kind of a return on their investment? If I could spend 200 and potentially get 500K or more in less than 10 years, that's better than any stock, even if I would have invested in Apple 10 years ago. But ethically, is it the right decision? But I guess it doesn't matter because people like Trump or the Rockefellers made their money not by caring about others or what they were feeling or if what they were doing was morally right. They did what was best in the name of the dollar, whatever made them rich. And I guess if it wasn't the people buying out the property now, it would just be someone else. Just like whoever you may point to, whatever criminal, serial killer, gangster, gang, if it wasn't them, it would be somebody else eventually. And before anyone comes on the comment section calling the island third world, this kind of thing has already been going on in New York City and LA. You got places in Brooklyn that have become yuppie central. You have places in LA that 10, 15, 20 years ago you couldn't step in that are now being sold to white people for exorbitant prices. You know, it's like it's kind of like I would not hippie. Hippie's not the word I'm looking for, but retro. What you call that? Um, Man, I'm drawing a blank here, but you know what I'm trying to say. You know, it's coming back into style now. South Central is slowly becoming not one that one would associate with Boys in the Hood. It's becoming it is becoming the kind of place that you can think of big SUVs, trucks, family dog, family of five, four, low crime areas and places that traditionally always had high crime areas. And Puerto Rico, being an island, it has a finite amount of real estate. And it's no secret that at one time, Puerto Rico was the destination to go, the destination waiting central, the place where all the tourists will want to go instead of Hawaii. I mean, now, who wants to come here, You have people from here that when they take a vacation, they don't even go to some place cold or something like that. They'll go over to the Dominican Republic instead of keeping the money in house in the local economy, or at least going to the States or seeing someplace new. They're going to the Dominican Republic, which basically has the same climate as the island, but nobody wants to vacation here. I mean, we have tourist traps. Things are too expensive. I mean, you can't even visit like the local caves around here for like less than $30 per person, and people be people won't even blink at that kind of a price tag when they're spending $100 for Disney park tickets. But when it comes to the island, when you remove the local populace from its homes, it loses its charm, it loses its history, it loses its touch on the world. You know, whether for good or bad, the Puerto Ricans are on the mouths of many people. We're a small island, but we've made a big impact throughout history. You know, you had heroes in world wars. Thousands have died for this country. Thousands have served. Thousands have contributed to the fields of science, math, engineering. Inventions have been made, and at the drop of a dime, at the drop of a hat, as we have seen this Category 4 storm, or Category 5 to some people, how easy the whole island is placed aside. And I appreciate, and I think many people appreciate all the volunteers, everybody that has been helping so far, even the contractors that have come down here to help get things back on track before the next hurricane season. But there has to be an upside to this. There has to be, on top of making things the way they were, we have to improve the state of the island to make it a place where people want to come back to. The figures were around 500,000 that have left, with maybe 300,000 that have come back since then. That leaves 200,000 that are still stateside with no plans of returning. And how many of that 300,000 are really residents and not just contractors or volunteers that they are counting as people that are coming back? I mean, I'm not exactly sure how they are um, counting this. But what I do know is the island will never be the same. All of this footage that has been playing behind my voice are just snippets of what was lived through for those past 2 days. Also, the suicide rate following Maria has risen substantially. And believe it or not, on the date that this was uploaded, there are still people that don't have electricity. And can you imagine that being 8 months, especially if you don't have any family close by or friends that can help you out, to be trying to find ice every day, to buy ice, to rely on others, to come home, to not be able to take a hot shower unless you want to heat up some water on the grill. And that takes a while, and you come out smelling like charcoal, or if you got a propane grill, it's even better. But to have people that are willing to take their lives because they've been 8 months, 7 to 8 months without light, with the prospect of still having to wait another month or two with hurricane season just starting, that people are praying that we don't get hit by another one. And people don't realize how much of a force of nature a hurricane is, and how slow this recovery has been. I mean, after Hurricane Harvey, by now, like 8 months later, things for the most part was already restored. Yeah, there was still some lingering after effects, but not to the extent that Puerto Rico has. When you still have infrastructure down, when you still have thousands of utility poles still bent over, needing to be either fixed or replaced entirely. When you have contractors out here causing massive blackouts by accidentally hitting transmission lines. When you have people out here who have lost everything in their house, and FEMA has cut off help in terms of temporary housing for them. When you see the blue tarps still on roofs from FEMA 8 months later, you realize how devastating it truly was. And although most of the houses here are constructed from concrete, the force of the winds and the rains, many places that didn't matter. I'm not saying to feel sorry for PR. I'm just letting you know how bad things are, and there are vultures looking to capitalize.
No, I don't really. That's the way we wash our hands. La 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 la